Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are strapping in for, well, a journey fueled by sheer bloody-minded determination. Our story kicks off high in the frozen peaks of the Broken Range with this half-elven man, Leesil. And he's just found his father's and his grandmother's skulls displayed as trophies.
Yeah, grim stuff. And that discovery, it sets everything in motion. His one single goal now is crossing those mountains to rescue his mother. She's imprisoned somewhere deep inside the Elven territories, which are notoriously hard to get into, ancient, impenetrable.
Right, so that intense focus, that's the engine here.
Absolutely. And we've been digging into the source material that details this whole desperate trek right into the heart of Encroan society. It's a world usually completely closed off. So our mission today isn't just to recap the plot. We want to pull out the really key stuff for you. The complex social structures, some seriously unique fantasy creatures, and maybe most importantly, these deep-seated conspiracies tangled up in their ancient history.
Okay, and navigating all this, we have this core group, a trio, but maybe a volatile one.
Definitely volatile. There's Leesil, totally obsessed, driven by vengeance. Then Magiere, his companion. She's grappling with her own nature, something hidden and frankly pretty unsettling. It feels cold, unnatural.
And Chap. Can't forget Chap.
No, Chap is crucial. He's this large, highly intelligent, dog-like creature, a majay-hì. And the key thing, he communicates by projecting shared memories, emotions, directly into their minds. No words needed.
Wow. So like instant threat assessment.
Exactly. And that nonverbal link is probably the only thing keeping them alive through all this.
Okay, so the start of this journey sounds rough.
Oh, it is. The early chapters are all about exhaustion, physical danger, extreme peril. Leesil's urgency, his almost fanaticism, it just pushes everyone relentlessly through these mountains.
You see the cost, right? Especially on Wynn, the sage. He seems to be constantly getting hurt.
Yeah, Wynn takes a beating. Frequent injuries as they're just trying to basically outrun winter itself.
You mentioned Chap being crucial. I'm really interested in his role here as the navigator.
He really is the guide. He leads them into this mountain passage because he senses spirit. It's like this deep environmental awareness. He can detect these unseen interventions. And he starts to realize, wait, they're not just surviving the elements. Something or someone is actually guiding them, leading them.
How does he figure that out?
Well, the data points towards some deliberate help, like Chap finds bistleberries.
Bistleberry.
Yeah, they're described as this plump, soft fruit, usually used for jams, grows in summer.
Okay. Finding summer fruit high in snow-covered mountains. It's weird.
Exactly. It's absurd. And it proves there's some invisible hand at work, maneuvering them, maybe even provisioning them.
It wasn't just the cold, though, was it? They had other encounters.
Oh, yeah. They're fighting the landscape, but also its stranger inhabitants.
Right, the Tashkal. I have to ask about this one. The name means finder of lost things. Sounds helpful, maybe. Like a little forest sprite.
You'd think so, but nope. The sources flat out call it an incorrigible little thief. It's this tiny, weasel or ferret-like creature, and it just harasses them nonstop.
What?
Specifically trying to steal Wynn's glowing crystal lamp, the one providing their only light and maybe a little warmth.
So they're freezing, exhausted, and being burgled by a magical ferret.
Pretty much. It adds this layer of, tragic absurdity to their struggle.
That absurdity definitely grounds the fantasy. But things get serious again fast, right? They get intercepted.
They do. By the elven elite, this fearsome caste of assassins, guardians. The text calls them Anmaglâhk. We can just call them the Guardians for simplicity. Sigale is their leader.
And this meeting, it sets the tone.
Immediately. The tension is just palpable, razor sharp. Leesil and Magiere, they're forced to give up all their weapons, falchion, crossbow, everything. And the sources are specific. The weapons are bundled up carefully to keep them out of sight of these unsettling guardians.
Like the very sight of weapons is offensive. Or maybe dangerous?
It's a power play, a clear message. You are completely helpless here. We control everything.
And through this, we start learning about the elves themselves, the Encroan.
Yeah, little snippets emerge. Their lifespan, for one, it's long. Like 150 to 200 years.
Okay, that explains a lot.
Right. Like why they don't use money. They see it as a short-term human thing. They strictly use barter.
It's not just quaint, it's logical for them.
Exactly. If you live for centuries, immediate cash flow just isn't the priority. Long-term value, relationships, that's what matters in their economy.
So they get deeper into the elven lands. What are the settlements like?
Really unique. Their dwellings aren't constructed in the human sense. They're living structures. massive oak trees, elms that are literally grown and molded into shape by specialists called shapers or makers.
Living architecture, cool. But the welcome isn't warm, I take it.
Not at all. The atmosphere is hostile. Outsiders are met with this palpable fear, especially Leesil because he's half-blood, and Magiere because she's human.
That fear, does it connect to Magiere's own issues? You mentioned her feeling cold, unnatural.
It ties in directly. And it gets worse. She starts to realize something deeply disturbing. When she touches these living, shaped trees, she's feeding on their life force, inadvertently.
Feeding, like a vampire.
Sort of.
Yeah.
She doesn't mean to, but the bark literally dies under her touch. It shows she's not just feeling cold, she embodies something. Anti-life. A destructive force.
That must be terrifying for her.
And it gets worse. Her internal state is just collapsing. She starts having these terrifying visions when she touches the really ancient trees. She's reliving memories, but not her own. She's seeing things from the perspective of the oldest elf there, the patriarch Sorkafare. We can call him the most aged father.
Whoa. She's tapping into his memories.
Yeah.
What kind of elf is he? He lives inside a tree root.
Yeah, deep inside the central root of this massive ancient oak. He's incredibly frail. Seems like he's sustained only by his connection to the forest itself, and he is utterly, profoundly terrified of Magiere.
Why? Does he know what she is?
He recognizes her nature. Whatever she is, he connects it to some ancient, traumatic event from the distant past, something involving vampires or undead, a world-threatening event. So his fear isn't just prejudice against an outsider. It's rooted in this living memory of a near catastrophe.
Teagat casts things in a new light. Especially the majay-hì, Chap's kin. They abandon him.
Chap learns that, yes. His entire kin basically left him and the others high and dry.
But why? If their goal is to keep Magiere in ignorance and away from the enemy, wouldn't abandoning Chap risk exposing her? It seems counterintuitive.
It really speaks to the scale of the threat they perceive. They're prioritizing this massive, ancient danger over the immediate fate of one scout, even one as capable as Chap. The moment they sensed Magiere was tainted, they pulled back entirely. They put all their trust, or maybe their hopes, on Chap's loyalty to see it through alone.
Loyalty? Or maybe he was just stuck with them.
Maybe a bit of both.
And this whole situation forces another truth out, doesn't it? About Leesil.
The biggest one, perhaps. We and Leesil himself thought this whole quest was about rescuing his mother, maybe getting revenge.
But it's not that simple.
Not at all. The sources reveal his mother, Nein'a, and her allies. They purposefully conceived him. They trained him his whole life for a specific role. He's called a Sorrow Tears Champion.
Sorrow Tears Champion. Powerful name. What does it actually mean for him?
The implication is just devastating. Leesil was never meant to just be. He was engineered, designed.
Engineered, like biologically.
Conceived and raised for one purpose, to be a weapon.
Yeah.
Specifically designed to kill the enemy. The same enemy the most aged father is so terrified of.
So his quest for vengeance.
It's almost incidental, or maybe it was part of the manipulation. His entire life, his motivations, they were basically scripted by his mother and her conspiracy.
Yeah.
He's an instrument.
Wow. Okay, so Leesil's a weapon, Magiere's this walking danger. This shifts everything. From personal secrets to, what, high-stakes politics?
Exactly. The most aged father's terror doesn't stay hidden. It erupts into a formal accusation. Magiere is brought before the Council of Clan Elders. The charge. She is undead.
A trial? How does elven justice even work? Especially with a human defendant.
It's fascinating. It relies heavily on natural law, bloodline connections, not really human-style testimony. And Magiere gets a surprising advocate. Brotan Duive. He's an influential master of that guardian caste we met earlier.
The assassins. One of them defends her.
Unexpected, right. He faces off against Frethfar, who is the most aged father's counsel, the prosecutor, basically.
Okay, so how do they prove or disprove something like undead without witnesses?
Proxy tests. Since Magiere is human, they use tests that interact with elven life essence or sacred items. The accuser, Frethfar, starts with the Anmaglâhk. It means life shield. It's a sacred white flower supposed to sustain the dying.
Now that happens.
It's dramatic and seems damning. Frethfar holds this pure white flower near Magiere, and instantly it just withers, turns ashen tan, the text says.
Whoa, okay, that looks bad. Like, her presence is fundamentally anti-life.
Exactly. It feels like undeniable proof based on their natural laws. No need for argument. The flower itself judged her.
So what does her advocate, Brotan Duive, do?
He counters desperately. He proposes another test. The Roy's Charmoon, the seed of sanctuary. This involves someone going to a sacred ash tree, the holiest place, the seat of sanctuary, and petitioning for a branch.
And the point is?
If the tree grants the branch, it means the petitioner is recognized by the most ancient life force as truly Ancroan, as elven, or at least accepted as blood. It would undermine the idea that Magiere and her companion are complete abominations, total outsiders.
Who volunteers? Leesil.
Mhm.
But he's half-blood.
He does. Despite being half-elven, he steps up, he speaks the required plea, and the ancient tree accepts him, gives him the branch.
It worked. Proof that he belongs in some fundamental way.
It's huge. It bypasses all the social prejudice against his mixed heritage. The oldest living thing acknowledges him. It should shatter the accuser's case.
But things don't just wrap up neatly, do they?
Not a chance. Just as the council is reeling from this, chaos erupts. Chap reappears. But not alone. He's backed by a full pack of majay-hì, his kin. They charge into the clearing.
The ones who abandoned him.
The very same. And they're followed by this mysterious winged creature. A sailf means the wind blown. It throws the whole sacred council into disarray.
This has to be deliberate. A coordinated intervention.
Absolutely. And in the middle of this mayhem, Wynn the injured sage suddenly becomes critical.
When? How?
Remember her past exposure to dangerous magic, the thing that made her constantly ill? Well, it seems to have given her this strange side effect, a kind of mantic ability. She can literally hear Chap's thoughts.
Hear his thoughts, even the memory-sharing stuff.
Even his silent communication with the Fay, with his own kin. She's become this unexpected psychic link, the only one who understands the full scope of Chap's awareness and maybe his plans.
So all her suffering, it actually gave her a crucial power.
Turned her into an essential asset at the most critical moment. It wasn't pointless, after all.
Okay, so the trial basically collapses in chaos. What's the verdict?
Well, effectively, Leesil and Magiere are dismissed, just told to get out. They're ordered to leave the elven lands immediately, by ship.
That's it, after all that.
On the surface, yes. But the real victory, the one that changes things, happens offstage. Thanks to Barb, Magiere's advocate.
What did he do?
He reveals later that he forced the most aged father's hand. He got him to release Leesil's mother, Nein'a.
How? What leverage could he possibly have against the patriarch?
Knowledge. Barb threatened to expose the most aged father's deepest, darkest secret. Apparently, the patriarch has been secretly using the Anmaglâhk, that guardian caste, to stir up conflicts among humans outside the elven territories, fueling wars.
Whoa, that sounds like a huge violation of their own laws.
Massive, strict non-intervention is supposed to be paramount, so Barb used the threat of revealing these ancient political crimes to get Nein'a freed.
So in this society, the most dangerous weapon isn't a sword or magic. It's information. A secret.
Exactly. Knowledge is power, quite literally here. Barb used one old elf's hidden history, his guilt, to free a prisoner and basically fracture the foundation of their society's stability.
So Leesil finally gets to his mother. Is the reunion everything he hoped for?
Not quite. He finds her, she's free, but then she hits him with another blow. She refuses to leave the elven territories.
Wait, why?
She prefers to stay there with Glean, who is one of those shaper-healer types and seems to be an ally of Barb. She tells Leesil he has to trust Barb, but ultimately only trusts himself.
And her parting words?
Cryptic and kind of chilling, given what we now know about Leesil. She just says, "Good hunting, my son."
Good hunting. Ugh. That confirms it, doesn't it? The mission she designed him for, being the Sorrow Tears champion. It's not over. It's still his purpose in her eyes.
Seems like it. His job isn't done just because she's out of prison.
And what about Magiere? Does she get any closure, any understanding?
She does, but it's terrifying closure. She finally understands her own nature. And it's worse than just being undead. The source says she realizes she was born tainted by the undead to breach all last refuges of life.
Breach. Refuges of life.
Yeah. So you have this terrible symmetry. Leesil, created to save the living. Magiere, tainted, maybe destined to destroy life's sanctuaries. Two opposing destinies, both engineered for some coming conflict.
That's incredibly dark. Is there any hope left for them personally?
There's a flicker. Despite all this doom, these predetermined fates hanging over them, Leesil and Magiere have this quiet moment together. They agree to marry.
Really? In the middle of all this?
Yes, but they make a point of refusing to celebrate it now, not there. They say it has to wait until they're home again with Carlin and Caleb, back with their friends, a proper celebration, away from all this darkness.
So they're clinging to a future, something normal.
It gives them something personal to fight for, yeah. Maybe their relationship, their love, is the one thing in this whole story that wasn't engineered by some ancient conspiracy or vengeful parent. It's the wild card.
The one variable that might let them defy fate.
Perhaps. Hashtag outro.
So looking back on this deep dive,
Right.
wow, we've pulled out a ton of world knowledge here. Everything from the political games of ancient elves to really unique creatures like those sentinel deer, the colossus, and that winged seal.
Right. And it feels like the core of the journey, the really impactful part, wasn't the physical struggle over the mountains. It was about uncovering secrets. It boiled down to exposing one very old man's fear, the most aged father's ancient trauma, and how that fear warped everything around it, shattering a history that everyone else probably thought was, dead and buried.
Yeah, the secrets they brought to light didn't just free Leesil's mother. They forced that whole elven society to look at its own hypocrisy, its own hidden actions.
And that exposure, that knowledge, that feels infinitely more potent than any weapon they carried across the border.
Which really leaves us and you with this final thought to chew on. If someone's nature seems predetermined, like one born to save, and one seemingly born tainted to destroy, can things like love, individual choice, can they actually change the final destination?
A heavy question for them to carry as they sail away, armed with little more than that devastating truth they uncovered.
Something for you to ponder indeed. That's all for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.